Your phone may become a form of ID under new laws.
Your phone may become a form of ID under new laws. How about we don't want one of these smartphones anymore? Say goodbye to the Samsung, say goodbye to the iPhone. Let's go back to a good old Nokia 3310.
Here's what could happen. The Brit card will be a mandatory digital ID card system. Using a smartphone app, employers and landlords will be able to check someone's immigration status. But the Labour Party has been on a journey when it comes to this policy. Under Tony Blair, Labour tried to implement ID cards unsuccessfully because of concerns around privacy. Civil liberties campaigners believe that ID cards, whether digital or physical, will fundamentally change the relationship between the population and the state and will turn the UK into a checkpoint society.
Again, yeah, I'm surprised that she is actually using that term. Turn Britain to a checkpoint society. It's very negative sounding, and it would certainly ring alarm bells in the minds of the viewer. Encourage them to think, yeah, there's something about this which I don't like. I don't want to live in a checkpoint society. It puts bad images in people's minds.
And more recently, in July 2024, the then Home Secretary Yvette Cooper insisted that this was not Labour's approach and it was not in their manifesto.
That's right. So it was not in the Labour Party manifesto, and Yvette Cooper said that, no, we don't have any plans to do that. Well, now she's saying digital ID for children as young as 13 is the right way forward. So first it started with adults, and then the age group got lower and lower. Does that sound familiar? Have we been here before? It would just be old people. It would just be adults. Oh, no, now children need it. Of course, an untrustworthy liar.
But Keir Starmer has had a change of heart. 14 months into a Labour government, and small boats crossings are at a record high. The government believes that digital ID cards will be an effective way of curbing illegal working and reducing the pull factors for illegal migration.
No, it doesn't. The so-called Brit card, digital ID, won't have any bearing on illegal employment. People will continue to work illegally without producing a digital ID. That's the point. I'm really interested in this woman's tone of voice. She's almost putting a cheery spin on this. The digital ID.
But this trade-off between freedom and security has already angered several political parties and perhaps many voters too.
It's such a performative way about her presentation here, almost theatrical. And I think it's possible that even though she's talking about checkpoint societies and civil rights and the dangers that digital ID would pose to civil liberties, my suspicion is that Mari Aurora has not fully grasped how dangerous it is. I think that she doesn't really know or understand the absolute nightmare that life would be in a society in which there is digital ID. So, comments underneath. Emma Rock, what a crock. Digital IDs must be resisted. These have long been in the making. Agenda 2030 needs it. Your mileage will be tracked. Agenda 2030 wants to limit travel and meat consumption. They even have a stretch target regarding how many items of new clothes you can buy. Seriously. Your spending, tax taken directly, your carbon credits. You may eventually get a complete credit system, etc. Alan D. Miller says, nope, we will all fight this tooth and nail. This is so dark, we will not comply, says Harry Eccles. Somebody underneath, Russian garbage human, not sure who that is. A checkpoint society, yes, like China. A land many of our leaders admire. Yeah, the video showing a Chinese woman having to show her face to a facial recognition camera, being scanned, and then being granted or denied access to another part of the district. DLR, here's my digital ID. Permaculture guy. I have a British passport, a British birth certificate, a British driver's license, a British bank account, a British national insurance number. Why do I need a digital ID card to prove I'm not a migrant? Why not issue it to the illegal immigrants once they disembark the boats and planes? Batteris says Trump stopped anyone entering illegally with no digital ID card. Are you saying Labour are incapable of doing what Trump can do? So they have to release a communist ID card on us? Yeah, it's all by design. WEF communism, EU communism. Absolutely correct. Yeah. Yeah, they may talk about Donald Trump being a terrible president, but he was able to stop illegal immigration without forcing digital IDs upon the public. I remember before the 2024 presidential election in America, Tim Pool interviewed Donald Trump, and he specifically brought up digital IDs and said clearly, I don't want it, the people don't want it. And Donald Trump, yeah, he confirmed his position on that. Good man. But the Labour Party, new. We will roll out digital ID for free across the UK. Firstly, it won't be free because it will, of course, cost money. It will cost a lot of money. Maybe people won't pay for it directly, but it will be their taxes that are used to pay for it. This is another measure to make our borders more secure and combat illegal working. If you actually believe this, I have a bridge to sell you. Something I notice about this, digital ID will make Britain safer, fairer, and more secure. I can't remember who it was, but somebody pointed out to me that in all of the novels that are about a dystopian future, the design of the cover, they typically feature three colors: black, white, and red. And it just so happens I have my copy of 1984 right here: black, white, and red. 1.6 million views. Carl Benjamin, Sargon, replies, "Tyrants, we know what you want." Correct. Wide Awake Media says, "No thanks." And the picture here, status invalid on the Brit card. Account frozen, not up to date with mandated vaccines. Yeah, correct. Take the 9th mRNA COVID-27 booster to access your funds. Yeah, correct. And we know exactly what else will happen. You posted the wrong political opinion on your social media, so your account has been frozen for 24 hours. Leilani Dowding, you know her. We have passports and national insurance numbers for that. You tyrannical sacks of shit. Well said. Calvin Robinson. We will never consent. Good. And yeah, we should remember, yeah, mandatory does not mean you do not have a choice. It means you do have a choice. That's just a linguistic trick to convince you that you have no choice. You always have a choice in the matter. They want you to think that you have no choice. Emma Rock, tell me how I being forced to have a digital noose around my neck will help illegal migration. I already have passport, national insurance card, driver's license, birth certificate, NHS number. Yeah. How can they argue with that? Basil the Great simply says, "Go fuck yourselves." Galvin Glixman, say no to digital ID. What socialism promises, what socialism delivers. Yes. Mr. Sausage, whoever this is, every politician with ties to the World Economic Forum should be arrested on suspicion of high treason. Yeah, I do agree with you. Read the room. Everyone hates you, you disgusting Nazi shit weasels. And yeah, papers, please. Yeah, that's exactly what the intention is. William Hague, do you remember him? The Prime Minister is now expected to announce a compulsory digital ID scheme. I think this was just before the announcement. Exactly the right move. Now it's important the scheme is done properly, as I argued in my column earlier this week. Secure, ambitious, and with public trust at its core. The people don't trust you. Not even close. Keir Starmer, you're the man who... What was your relationship with Jimmy Savile?
This leader of the opposition, a former director of public prosecutions, Mr. Speaker, he spent most of his time prosecuting journalists and failing to prosecute Jimmy Savile, as far as I can make out, Mr. Speaker. He, Mr. Speaker, chose to use it.
Does anybody really trust this government? What did they say about they won't stop winter fuel allowance for the elderly? And then what happened? Oh, winter fuel allowance for the elderly. Bye-bye. Leilani Dowdy again replying to William Hague. Fake conservative Tories like you have utterly destroyed the Conservative Party. We sue you as a uniparty. Matthew Marsden, the actor. This is why you will never win an election again. Andrew Brigden. You are recommending digital ID, and you told us the COVID-19 vax were safe and effective. Let me consider your proposal for the millisecond. No thanks. Yeah, good man. Andrew Brigden. Somebody's linked. Somebody's posted a video of the Coast Guy, Neil Oliver. Fantastic man, absolutely brilliant man.
Britcard would link banking information, benefits, driving licence, education, health records, housing, voting rights, you name it. If it's about you, it'll be accessed via your Britcard. Britcard makes possible the tracking of your movements, what you post online, what protests you might attend, how you spend your money, and all of that data is stored forever. There would be no state-sanctioned opt-out. The paper makes plain all citizens would become digitally visible to the state across every transaction. There, in black and white, is the promise you'll be tracked every moment of every day, waking or sleeping. Contemplate, if you will, the potential of being profiled in this way, so that the state knows your views on this, that and everything, whether they align with the orthodoxy. What happens if you refuse to comply with some or other future diktat? Will you lose access to your funds? Will you have your freedom to move curtailed? Britcard is the road to a destination in which privacy itself is impossible, forbidden in fact. And as always, it's pitched as all for our own good and the ultimate C word, which is convenience. It's free, of course. And what do we know now about free stuff? If it's free, you're the product.
Yeah, brilliant man. As on point as always, Neil Oliver. Peter Clark says, there is no public trust in the government or anything it does. Jonathan Brash MP, Labour MP for Hartlepool. It's important that we explore the myths and conspiracy theories being spread on digital ID. It will make our country safer, fairer, and more secure. So basically, he's repeating the 3 words of the Labour tweet: safer, fairer, and more secure. He doesn't say how exactly. Matthew Marsden replies, utter garbage. This should be resisted at every opportunity. Correct. UK borders without ID cards? UK borders with ID cards, yeah. Absolutely correct. Calling every objection a myth or a conspiracy theory is a neat way to dodge the real issue. Digital ID hands unprecedented power to the state over ordinary citizens. That's not safety or fairness. It's centralized control dressed up as progress. Correct. They try their best to discredit and smear people who raise legitimate concerns and make legitimate and reasonable and accurate criticisms. That's just conspiracy theory. That's just a myth. Well, wasn't digital ID in the first place a conspiracy theory? So what happened there? As Candace Owens said, if you aren't a conspiracy theorist at this point, you're not an intelligent person. After everything that's happened over the last 5 years, if you actually believed the press releases and the words coming out of the mouths of these snake politicians, it's possible that you are beyond help at this point. This was an interesting one. Jeremy Corbyn. I firmly oppose the government's plans for compulsory digital ID cards. This is an affront to our civil liberties and will make the lives of minorities even more difficult and dangerous. It is excessive state interference and must be resisted. Personally, I would have preferred for him to have not gone a little bit woke. It was unnecessary. It has nothing to do with the lives of minorities. It has to do with the lives of everybody, whether you're a majority or minority. It doesn't matter. If you're a member of the public, it's going to negatively impact your life. But absolutely, I agree with him completely on this. They must be resisted, and I am also firmly opposed to their plans. They're not really the government's plans, they're the WEF's plans, and Kia, two-tier Kia, Starmer is just going along with them. Rupert Lowe, very good man. Good. I am with you on this, Jeremy. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like Lord of the Rings. There was a time when we fought together. Now, in the time of our greatest threat, let us stand together. Alan D. Miller, we disagree on almost everything, but on this issue, we agree. It is vital that everyone who wants to stop digital ID all pushes against it robustly, because this is the thing that would determine all else. Yeah, digital ID is the foundation stone for what they want. The CBDC, the individual carbon footprint trackers,
individual carbon footprint tracker,
the Chinese-style social credit score.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now, the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it, and anyway, we don't have a choice.
But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step further in 2020. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. Xiao Wen-Wang is a model citizen. She lives in Nanjing, a testing ground for social ranking. Married with a child, she has a job in a retirement home, no debts, and she wouldn't dream of jaywalking.
As a good citizen, I respect the rules of the road. If I didn't, I'd lose points on my social credit.
In theory, everything can be taken into account in the social score, even the most innocuous errands like supermarket shopping. When Xiao Wen-Wang makes an electronic payment, her purchases tell the state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her. On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water. In this pilot city of 8 million people, there are only 18,000 model citizens. For Xiao Wen-Wang, there are perks to be had, such as paying half price for the bus.
I get discounts for all public services, even at museums. And the library is free for me, thanks to my score.
We have to go one step further. We have to have a strategic mood. We have to construct the world of tomorrow. It's a systemic transformation of the world. So we have to define how the world should look like, which we want to come out of this transformation period. I respect China's achievements, which are tremendous over the last over 40 years. I think it's a role model for many countries. But the Chinese model is certainly a very attractive model.
It all hinges on digital ID.
So the UN has partnered with Bill Gates on this, what they call digital public infrastructure. They're building a giant digital gulag for all of humanity. The World Economic Forum just said a few days ago, 98% of the governments and central banks in the world are working on these CBDCs. Once they're fully operational, I guarantee you, they're going to start waging war on cash much more openly. They'll say it's a tool for terrorists and pimps and every nasty thing, tax cheats, everything you can think of. Then you've got the payment processing systems, and you've also got, we just had the head of the World Health Organization talk about this recently, the digital health certificates, the digital vaccine passports. They're taking what the EU developed during the COVID, which, by the way, the European Commission was promoting vaccine passports in May of 2019, long before anybody ever heard of COVID or anything like that. So they're taking all of this together, and they are using it to build a control system that will not just be able to surveil and monitor everything you do on an unprecedented scale. When you combine it with AI, the ability to make sense of all this data, it's just mind-blowing, but also to manipulate what you do. And so they're talking about this again pretty openly. If you look at the World Economic Forum meetings, they talk about the benefits of programmable central bank digital currency, where they will be able to say who can buy what, when, under what conditions. And then the Bank for International Settlements, Carol Quigley, to go back to him for a moment, Bill Clinton's mentor, the guy who really exposed this global agenda to create a one world system, he said the apex of the system was going to be the Bank for International Settlements. This is an institution that's almost entirely unknown to Americans. And what they are working on right now, and this is not a secret, it's not a conspiracy because it's not happening behind closed doors, is what they call a universal blockchain ledger. They want to tokenize every asset in the known universe, every farm, every car, every house, every tree, put it on this ledger, this blockchain ledger, and then you're only able to interact with this blockchain ledger using your biometric digital ID, using your central bank digital currencies. And so if I want to buy something from you, I can't just hand you a $100 bill. I've got to go on my device, connect to this blockchain system, transfer the central bank digital currencies to you. And so this is a mechanism for controlling humanity that I think is really unprecedented in human history. And when you take it all together, it's very obvious.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC, and I think also extremely dangerous for central banks. Because ultimately, if you have different units of central bank money with different characteristics, or if you use central bank money as a conduit for economic policies in a very targeted way, or more broadly for social policies, that could really affect the integrity of central bank money and the integrity and independence of central banks. So there are wonderful notions of things that can be done with digital money, but again, I fear that technology could take us to a better place, but equally has the potential to take us to a pretty dark place.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, you should do everything in your power to prevent that system from being implemented. If you don't, you will regret it every day for the remainder of your life. Adnan Al-Dini says, cashless society can't be implemented unless digital ID is in place first. Digital ID is the land in the sand you must not cross. Absolutely. What a silly man Dave Lawrence is. Not got a problem with it. It works in Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Singapore, and more. Shut up, you fool. I hate you and everything you stand for, but I'll stand with you on this. Strong words, but they say a lot.